Okay, so we've heard about some of the different settings that rehab counsellors can work in, some of the potential challenges we have to face when we're dealing with all these different stakeholders, etc. But what do you consider to be some of the best things about the profession of rehabilitation counselling? Michael?
Well, I think we've touched on it in the discussion to date, is that there isn't one best thing about it. I think it's the combination of all the different facets of rehabilitation counselling. The direct counselling involvement with the client, the liaison role, the negotiation role, the visiting of different workplaces, the interaction with the doctors and the allied health professionals, with the claims side of it. It's such a diverse role, I suppose, with so many, arms to it, that in fact it lends itself to a number. You can launch from this role, from a rehab counselling role, into so many different areas, related areas, human resources, management, running your own business. I do a bit of EAP, Employee Assistance Program work as well, so I love the counselling side of it. But I also like getting rolling up my sleeves and getting out and seeing the factories. So I've been to chicken farms in the middle of nowhere. I've been out to military installations and observed people on tanks. I've kind of done a lot of things that are very exciting and interesting, and you wouldn't get that in any other industry, where you get that kind of diverse range of experiences in a professional setting, and it's also great fun. That's the other part of it. I found it was always interesting and varied and a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it, and there's travel as well, which is important. You're not in the one place at the one time all the time. You're not administratively overburdened all the time. Yes, you have to do reports, as Greg mentioned, but that's just part of your role. It's not everything. It's also, as I said, the phone calls, the meeting people, the going out to workplaces, and seeing people in different, sometimes at their home, or within the allied health practice. So I don't think there is any easy answer to say there's one aspect of the job that really is the most rewarding or exciting. I think every aspect of the job is good, and as I said earlier on, I'd commend it to everyone. And I notice that there are more women in the audience than there are men, and so I don't know if that's what the industry is like, and I got a feeling that it's probably a little bit more evenly spread than it is in the audience today. But I would certainly encourage men who are considering this profession to really step up and have a look at it and give it a go, because I've found it so rewarding and so, as I said, exciting, and it's sort of I've grown through the profession, if you like, and have gone in so many directions as a result of it, and it's given me the confidence in a number of areas which I probably wouldn't have had I not experienced all the different aspects of the role. So learning the medical jargon, being able to talk to physios and doctors at their level without feeling intimidated. So it's given me a kind of level of confidence, I suppose, and also in my own medical management, and in helping family members. So it's got a lot of pluses to it. So I'd highly commend it. I really would.
So Michael, there's no stagnation. You're constantly learning, constantly developing, constantly experiencing.
Exactly. Yep, that's what I would say.
Would anyone else like to say anything about?
You have a lot of autonomy. I think that's the other thing. When you initially start, you would be mentored, particularly under the new framework, that it's important that everyone is mentored into the role, that you're writing your reports properly, you're liaising properly, etc. But you have a lot of autonomy, and you have a lot of influence as well, to positively impact on someone's life. And I think, that's a great aspect of the job.
Absolutely. I think that, I love the transformational aspects of the work that we do. There is so much diversity. Like Michael said, the workplaces that I've been to, I couldn't tell you them all. They're absolutely fascinating. And if you are at all a curious person, this is the profession for you, because you get to go and do the most amazing things in the quest to solve problems and create pathways and work with people. And it still touches me very deeply, the human interaction. We work with people who are at, for many of them, the lowest ebb in their life, and they cannot see a future. And we work with them through those periods, and it's incredibly rewarding and humbling to be part of that. Even just yesterday, a young fellow that I'm working with, he told me that he finally engaged with a psychologist, and I felt tears come to the back of my eyes. It just was an emotional reaction to that is a breakthrough, and that still gets me after many, many years.
He was on the pathway to recovery.
Absolutely, that's what I've been, that told me that he had engaged for himself, which was fantastic.
And Greg, what do you think is the best thing about the profession?
You can create your own role, and everyone's different. I really loved going out to workplaces, talking to supervisors, talking to co-workers. They could solve all the problems, not a problem. Not the doctor. A return to work plan had to work in the actual workplace. And that's what I like, going to the workplaces and talking to the supervisor and the co-workers and the person who was coming back. And they would work out, look, Greg, we can do this, we can do that. Australian workplaces are pretty fair. They're not as fair as they used to be, but they're still very fair. If you're a regular worker, they will help you get back to work. They'll change the job to suit you. So that's very good.
Thanks, Greg. And Carly, I won't ask you to reflect on the profession too much as you're just a student, but what attracted you to rehabilitation counselling?
So I think it was that it sort of complements the psych that I'd already learnt, and definitely the human interaction with other people. And there was a subject that we had to learn, was motivational interviewing, and Paul and Greg ran it, and that was fantastic. That apart from the fact that we had to do simulated role modelling, I hated that, but it was really beneficial and really fantastic, because instead of just reading and reading all the material, we had to actually work together and pretend that somebody was the client and motivate them to come to the goals that they want to achieve, as we've all mentioned earlier, the goals that they want to achieve, what's going to be best for them in the long run, and then working with them to try to get to that goal at the end, or suggesting things along the way. But I think also from a course perspective, the course is it's organised really well. All of the lecturers are really, really interesting, and they've got a lot of background behind them, and most of the subjects are taught in block mode, so it allows you to still be able to have a casual or a part-time job, which I think is really important, as we've been talking about work as well. So it's really important to have that and be able to study and not feel like you're totally run down or anything like that. So that's been really good. And then obviously having the placement as a requirement has definitely been beneficial. And also one more thing, I just think too with the second year, so you can choose thesis or you can do a different kind of study, but that allows you to really choose something that's really, really interests you and to take that path that you're interested in. So I'm interested in transition and what happens once you're injured for a professional dancer. Once you're injured, you can no longer be a dancer anymore if your leg's no longer working for you. So then what happens? How do you, for dancers especially, that's their identity. And even not even for dancers, for everybody in the workplace, that becomes your identity when you go there every day and it becomes who you are. So then when you can no longer be that anymore, I think it's really important to work with people to see, well, what other skills do they have? What's transferable to a different kind of workplace? And then working with them to find that